goodness. It is so good to see you all from a very safe distance. It is an honor to get to join you all with Dr. Jill Biden and our second man of the United States, Doug Emhoff. We are so excited. I just want to say, first of all, it is an honor to get to have your back in Congress every single day and get to be your congresswoman. I know it has been a rough year and a half, 2020 in particular. And when we thought the hits weren't going to keep coming, we got hit with the derecho on top of everything. I know this is going to be a long road. I know I have seen the heart of Iowans who have pulled together, helped out their neighbors, and again, you have made me proud every single day to get to represent you. You see, I also know we have so much work left to do here in Iowa and for our country. And that's why I am so happy that Dr. Jill Biden and Doug Emhoff decided to join us today and come and see for themselves what we have seen here in Iowa, what we have gone through in Iowa, and not just look, but actually get out and help. I know there was a little guy, Christopher, that we met. He's not that little. He's a 5th grader, and he's been out there, when the storm hit, almost every single day there with his mom, with his cousins, helping pick up. Now that they're back in school, he does it on the weekends. And we were able to meet Christopher and his family, and it reminded me exactly why we do this, why public service is so important, and why it's so important that we put Joe Biden in that White House. Because you see, because you see, empathy matters. Compassion matters. Hard work matters. It is why we do this. It is what our country needs now more than ever. We need it in the U.S. Senate, which is why we must put Teresa Greenfield into that U.S. Senate. We need it in our state house, which is why we have to make sure that folks like Eric Jurdy make it to that state house, and we send folks back like Molly Donahue. You all know how much is on the line. We can't take a day for granted, and I will always have your back because Iowa is my home, and this is our country. And when we do this right, you get all of your friends out there to vote, to make a plan, to not take a day for granted. We can take our country back and bring empathy, compassion, and dignity back to public service again. And that is what this is all about, folks. So thank you so much. And now it is a dear honor to get to introduce another federal, congressional, senatorial spouse that you all know now. I have an affinity for great congressional spouses. I happen to have married one a month and a half ago. And so, Doug, you're not my favorite, but you can be my second favorite congressional spouse. He's pretty great, and we're really happy to have Doug with us today. And just thank you, Doug, for everything that you do, and I know will do for our country alongside of amazing Senator Harris. Thank you, Doug.
Someday when your head is much lighter, someday you walk in the rain.
Back in Iowa. So in 2018, Abby showed us all that if you put in the work, you can turn districts from red to blue. How about that? How do you feel about doing that for an entire state, for Joe and Kamala? Woo! Well, you know I feel that way. We turn Iowa blue. We can do it. So I'm so glad former Congressman Jim Leach can join us as well. Thank you, Congressman, for putting country over party. thanks to all the great candidates who are here, local officials, leaders, and campaign volunteers, and all of you who made time on your day to come see us. I can't wait for Iowa to elect Joe Biden as the next president of the United States and Kamala D. Harris as the next vice president of the United States. It's such an honor to be part of this campaign. And one of the reasons it's so rewarding is my incredible partnership with the best second spouse ever, my friend and our next First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden. But that's not my introduction. I can't wait for you to hear from her, but first, I want you to know how glad I am to be back here. As you know, I spent a lot of time here in 2019. I got to see some familiar faces. I see some familiar faces out there, and it just makes us feel so great. And Kamala sends her best regards. She says hi to everybody. I loved every minute of being here, and I've been making calls and doing Zooms all over the country, including Iowa, these past weeks. And I know when Joe asked Kamala to join him on this ticket, I knew I would have a chance to come back here in person and see you all to help turn Iowa blue. Now, you know, we've had to do some improvising on this campaign, but I can't say, I guess we'd end up in a drive-in. But the last time I was at one of these was just a couple of weeks ago with Joe and Jill and Kamala, and we were raising our hands to celebrate Joe and Kamala being our amazing ticket. So it's just great to be back again in front of a drive-through. So we're counting on you, Iowa. We're counting on you to help us win. And you know, early voting just starts in 9 days on October 5th. So you got to get out there, but more importantly, let everyone you know to get out there. It's very important, because on Election Day, we want there to be no doubt at all that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have won a decisive mandate. A decisive mandate. A mandate that this current president cannot refute no matter how hard he tries. Now, just this past week, he had the nerve to refuse to commit to a peaceful transfer of power. That's not who we are as Americans. We're not going to stand for it. Now, for all of his bluster and chest beating, it's actually pretty simple. Trump has failed as most things as president, but he's really failed at his most important job. He's failed to protect the American people. And we all know that he's unable to do so. To begin with, he failed to take the virus seriously. And by his own recorded admission, he played it down even when he knew how deadly it was, all the way back in January. And he's still refusing to take responsibility. Joe and Kamala have a plan to get this virus under control, implementing clear national mandates for everyone to wear one of these, a mask. They save lives. A plan to make testing free, quick, and available, to make treatment free, bolster contact tracing, which is so important, and to make a safe and effective vaccine free as soon as it's available and safe, and ensure that it's fairly distributed. And instead of trying to repeal the Affordable Care Act and kick people off their insurance because they have pre-existing conditions like Trump is doing right now in court in the middle of a pandemic, which is outrageous, Joe and Kamala, like so many of you out there, believe that health care is a right, not a privilege for just the few. And they have a plan to save the Affordable Care Act and build on it and improve it when you elect them. They will also bring our economy back from the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, which is also the direct result of Trump's failure to contain this virus. Now, how are they going to do it? They're going to create millions of jobs, making sure that work is rewarded, not just wealth, bringing manufacturing back to our country so the future is made in America by American workers. And while Trump is out there calling climate change a hoax, Joe and Kamala have a plan to address it as the urgent existential threat that we all know it is. As we've seen in my home state of California, which is facing historic wildfires, and you've seen right here in Iowa, and Jill and I got to see it ourselves with our very eyes, these historic floods and this unprecedented derecho. So as far as I'm concerned, as a lawyer, but more importantly, as an American who loves this country very deeply, the case against Donald Trump and Mike Pence is open and shut. And the case for Kamala and Joe is clear as day. And by the way, Kamala Harris is not just on the campaign trail. She remains in the Senate, where she'll be squarely in the fight to stop McConnell from jamming through a justice who will try to overturn the Affordable Care Act just when we need it most, and to protect your reproductive rights as well. This whole process is yet another reminder, as though we needed one, that this election couldn't be more important. Not just because the values we care about as a country are on the ballot, but because so many lives are at stake. We can see it right here. I remember a mother I met on the campaign trail with Jill, as a matter of fact. She's a passionate advocate for the Affordable Care Act, because she is terrified that without its protections for pre-existing conditions, she wouldn't be able to afford even 1 month of her son's life-saving treatment. I met a young mother whose father works at a meatpacking facility with many undocumented workers and got involved in our campaign because of the unsafe conditions at that plant that are even worse in COVID. Met a retail worker, like so many others, who lost their job and won't be able to get it back in this economy. But he found his new calling as an organizer on our campaign. But the common refrain I hear from everybody is that they got involved in this campaign because of the 2016 election. And like me, and like you, they don't want to wake up on November 4th thinking they could have done more. And when Kamala Harris asked me, as she always does at the end of every day, "How was your day, Dougie?" I tell her about all the folks I talked to who are counting on us, because that's what motivates her. And I know that's what motivates Joe. It's the people. That's who Joe and Kamala are fighting for in this campaign. That's who they're going to fight for every single day when we send them to the White House. And it's your hard work over these next 38 days, that's all we have, folks, that will get us to victory on November 3rd. But we need you all to vote starting in just 9 days here in Iowa. And we need to make sure your friends and your families and your neighbors and your communities all cast their votes before the ballots close on November 3rd. Because if you turn out, it's going to turn out the way we want it to. And we're going to send Teresa Greenfield to the Senate. And we're going to win Iowa. And we're going to send Joe and Kamala to the White House. As Joe likes to say, we are going to win this battle for the soul of the nation. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the next First Lady of the United States of America, Dr. Jill Biden.
Thank you. Doug, as I've gotten to know you over these last few weeks, it's clear to me how much you love your family and our country. And with your help, we will do the work to restore access to justice and rebuild trust with the American people. And Joe and I are so proud of the Biden-Harris partnership. And thank you, Abby, Representative Finkenauer. You know, you've been with us from the beginning, and you brought the same grit and determination and passion that you bring to absolutely everything you do. And these qualities are what make you such a strong fighter for Iowans and such a powerful leader in Washington. And Abby, you looked beautifully kick-ass in your wedding gown. So congratulations to you and Daniel. Hello, Iowa. We are back. And yet in some ways it feels like we've never left, because the people we met and the stories we heard have stayed with Joe and me. The young teacher from Des Moines who was afraid to start his family because his student loans were so high. The farmer's wife from Sydney who lost everything to floods and told me she supported Joe because climate change is real and she has the faith that he will do something about it. The citizens of Jefferson who were so proud to share with me how the forge in their town and talked about the Silicon Prairie movement and how it could revitalize rural Iowa. Farmers like Matt and Patrick at Coyote Run Farm who were living on razor-thin margins and spoke passionately about sustainable agriculture. Joe and I carry all of you with us. And I know that Americans across this country, you are wrestling with the anxiety and the chaos caused by this pandemic, concerns about losing your job or the stress of juggling it all, worried about getting your child's education and wondering if they are safe at school. And two, grieving all of those lives that were tragically lost too soon. Things are tough right now, and most of us don't feel any better when we turn on the news. Unemployment rates have skyrocketed, more than tripling here in Iowa, and still almost double what it was before the pandemic. Frontline workers are risking their lives. Educators, like me, are worried about getting sick in their classes and bringing it home to their families because leaders are following politics and not science. And the acrimony, my God, have you ever seen such acrimony in our country? And there are so many who want to tell us that our nation is hopelessly divided, that our differences are irreconcilable, that our communities are fractured beyond repair. And beneath that is another message. Your voice can't fix it. Your voice won't matter. How about this one? It is what it is. But that's not who we are, is it, Iowa? Just look at what we've seen over these last few months. Communities are uniting to meet the needs of their most vulnerable. Food banks are giving away food in record numbers. Frontline workers are going above and beyond to care for patients and keep us fed and make sure that the gas stations keep open and garbage gets collected. Educators God bless the educators, are working long hours to reach students in new ways and driving to neighborhoods to create hotspots for kids who don't have Wi-Fi. People like Congressman Leach and so many Republicans who have come up to me and say, I support Joe Biden. And here in Iowa, local energy providers and IBEW members did a year's worth of work repairing power lines in just 2 weeks. Thank you, IBEW. Communities are working together to clear debris. Doug and I were just in Sinclair Park in the Oak Hill Jackson neighborhood to see what was happening there. In fact, we met Christopher Smith, an inspiring 11-year-old who has started a cleanup fund and has been weekend after weekend, there with his family cleaning up the debris. We're coming together in America. We're coming together and we're holding on to each other. We're finding mercy and grace in the moments that we might once have taken for granted. We're seeing that our differences are precious, but our similarities are infinite. Democrat and Republican, rural and urban, our communities are showing that the heart of this nation still beats with kindness and courage. We don't agree on everything, and we know we don't have to, but we can still respect each other and share this love for our country. We care more about people than politics. And we know we're not fractured and broken. We're becoming something new. We just need steady leadership to help get us there, to lead this country. And that's my husband, Joe Biden. You know him well. He has spent his entire career listening, standing up to bullies, and bringing people together. He will be a president for all Americans, and he has a plan for all Americans. He's going to make sure that our schools and child care centers have the resources and support that they need to get kids back to school safely. And he's going to ensure that all of us, including rural communities, have access to free COVID-19 testing, treatments, and a future vaccine that is safe and effective. He'll create national guidance based on science. Imagine that. So that businesses and individuals and families can get past this. And he's going to build back better than before by revitalizing our rural communities, bringing back cutting-edge manufacturing jobs to rural America, and fighting for our family farmers. He'll make sure that all 21st century economy brings everyone along. He'll strengthen our schools. He'll expand broadband across this country. I hear it every single day. Kids need access to the internet so that they can do their homework, so that they can do their lessons. And he'll protect the Affordable Care Act so that pre-existing conditions well, he and Kamala, they have the fortitude to lead us out of Donald Trump's chaotic America. They have the character to help us heal and the vision to rebuild for a future that is better than ever. So just for a moment, I want to take you to November 4th, to that future. You wake up and it's a beautiful morning, hopefully not so windy. Maybe you stayed up too late watching the latest returns, so you go and you pour yourself a cup of coffee. And then you start to worry about your day thinking, oh my gosh, what time does everybody have to get on Zoom to be to classes? But then you remember, hey, pretty soon there's going to be a nationwide strategy to end this pandemic. And when you go out to get your mail, you think about your neighbor who lost her job. And then you realize, hey, the man we just elected on November 3rd is the same man who led the recovery program after the 2008 recession. You go to check the news and you notice, my God, there's no pit in my stomach. Your shoulders don't tense up. You're not dreading what's going on in the world. Instead, you sit a little taller, knowing that our next commander-in-chief will bring out the best in Americans, a president and a vice president that your kids, all of your kids, can look up to. Leadership that makes you proud. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And for the first time in a long time, you take a deep breath and you feel hope. That's what I want. And I know that that's what all of you want too. So what would you give to know that your schools are safe or to bring back jobs? How hard would you work to heal your community? What would you do to feel that hope again? That future is within our reach, but we won't get there by chance. So you need to go and make a plan. So I want you to go to iwillvote.com. And let me see if I can get this out of here. Here we go. Okay. So I want you to go to iwillvote.com and make a plan. Make sure that you can get your family and your friends out to vote. Drive them to the polls if you have to. This is our time. This is our country. We need to take it back. And we need to elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Thank you, Iowa. Thank you.
Free and easy down the road I go, hanging memories on the highline poles. Free and easy down the